Okay, we're going to talk about Hero 3 and our Hero 4 image. Just understanding. We're going to talk more about design principles in this video and how they were applied to executing this design and also in our Hero 4. So from a bigger picture understanding of what you're looking at here, it's the difference between an asymmetrical design, which is what we have here, and a symmetrical design. So to put it in really plain English for you, symmetrical just means that the majority of the design is in alignment with similar sizes, and pretty much it works within a grid system. So again, symmetrical means to have balance, and asymmetrical means to have more or less unbalance, to really play with variation in scale and space. So if you look at the symmetrical design, we still have some variation in scale, even though we're working with the basic image sizes here. So again, I simply made a 4x4 grid, and if you're making a basic 4x4 grid, you can still create a lot of image variation and scale. So again, even though everything is set up on a symmetrical grid, doesn't mean you can't break that grid with the image to create some different rhythm and variety within your design. And we'll talk about this in the next video. From an asymmetrical standpoint, there's a few key things you really need to be looking for when you're putting a design like this together. Now, for your freshman year, something more symmetrical is a little bit easier to control. But if you feel comfortable with doing a design like this, a asymmetrical design is a really good challenge for you. So again, if this looks like it's a little bit overwhelming, I may suggest to use a grid and work within a grid system to put a good design together. So one of the key things that's used in creating an asymmetrical design is a sense of scale. So again, just exaggerating the scale as a whole is the key to this design really working well. Secondly, just again, understanding space. Just because we have a lot of images cut out and used on our design, does that mean that the space has to be jam-packed? So again, because we're exaggerating the scale, everything has some comfortable space and rhythm around them. Not everything is sitting on top of each other, and not all the space is choked out, which is really key. You don't want to have everything butted to the edge and cropped and a full bleed image and no space. So again, one of the key things to learn with creating an asymmetrical design like this is the negative space actually is what creates the rhythm of the design. So again, this is a new concept, but it's really, really important to start to see and understand. So if we're looking at space, it's always going to be working around the typography that we put into the design. And we can see here, just by the V, working with a nice negative shape with the album. So again, it's recognizing the shapes that the type makes and how you work the image around that. And then it's also understanding the shapes that you're creating around your image itself. So I'm kind of looking at these nice negative spaces that are around the typography, but also looking at the rhythm of the spaces as a whole in this shape itself. So you can kind of see how it moves through the image. And this is really, really important to start to see. Again, playing with the exaggeration of the scale. Really, the key thing we're looking for here is harmony and a balance. So again, you're just trying to make a composition that feels comfortable and not overwhelming. So again, the key strategy we're using is scale, but we're also using crop and overlap, kind of playing around with overlapping the smaller records on the type, but also the image here. And again, we've implemented a subtle texture in the background image itself. Now, this isn't something that's necessary, but it does help with filling that negative space with some sort of image movement. So again, This is just to go over the difference between an asymmetrical design and some of the strategies I used to lay this out, and a symmetrical design. Oh, and one last note, we did use rotation as a way to create a sense of movement through the shape. So again, you can do a basic layout, look at scale, look at cropping, and then if you want to experiment a little, rotation usually is a really good strategy as well. Okay, thank you.